Unfortunately, I can't promise that you'll never experience colorism, but there are things that we as dark-skinned women can do to not only cope with colorism, but to actually thrive even in a colorist society. Here are 8 things you can do. So the first is to do a social media purge. I'm starting with social media because it's such a mainstay in our culture these days. Just about everyone is on social media. So one of the things you can do is to take a social media break, to get off of social media altogether. I have spoken to dark-skinned women who've done that. But if you still enjoy certain aspects of social media, then you can do a purge or a cleanse. The key is to remember that you train the algorithm. The algorithm is designed to keep you on the platform as long as possible, and therefore it behooves the algorithm to show you content that you actually like and that you actually enjoy. So here are some ways that you can actually train the algorithm to be more in your favor. The first thing you can do is to use the search feature. I always discourage people from logging on to a social media platform and just scrolling to see what the algorithm wants to deliver them, and instead tell the algorithm what you want to see by using the search bar. Trust me, if you search dark-skinned women, beautiful dark-skinned women, affirmations, healing from colorism long enough, you will see more of that naturally appearing in your feed and in your discover pages. The second thing you can do is to not only follow the accounts, so when you see content in the search that you love, be sure to follow those accounts, but actually engage with their content as often as possible. When I say engage, that means yes, watch the whole video, double tap, click the like button. Also leave comments, saves, and shares. All of these things reinforces, again, for the algorithm what you're really in tune with. Now, on the other side of that is to unfollow unhelpful content. And so a lot of times there's content that could be triggering or content that is about gossip or just negativity in general. And that definitely is not supportive to your mental health when you're already trying to cope with the negativity of colorism. So you can unfollow accounts that have not been helpful or that you discover are kind of triggering for you in some ways. And then the last thing around this strategy for social media is to set boundaries around when and how often you use social media. So for me, I went through a period of time where I didn't use social media first thing in the morning. I waited until noon before I can open any social media app on my phone. This was particularly helpful for me because that early morning mindset, the mentality that you start your day off with, is so important, and it can completely change the trajectory of your day. And you think about waking up in the morning, if you see something really triggering, if you open an app and see your ex is getting married, then all of that can send you down a downward spiral. And so really protecting your mindset and your mentality when you wake up, and then also when you go to bed. So particularly setting boundaries around social media at the start of your day and at the end of your day, because most people, I know for myself in particular, those are times of the day when I'm particularly vulnerable and susceptible to having those downward mental health spirals. So the second strategy is somewhat related. It builds on the social media strategy, which is to consume healthy content. This is when we get off of social media and we start to explore other forms of media and content. So I highly recommend books. I love books, and you can listen to audiobooks. You can listen to books. Some books are on YouTube channels, for example. But reading is such a good meditative way to consume content because there are no distractions. The difference between something like social media versus reading a book is that on social media, you're susceptible and liable to see any and everything that people are putting out there on the internet. Whereas when you're spending time with a book, you know that you're only going to get the good, informative, educational, juicy content that's within the pages of that book. And of course, besides books, there are things like magazines. I often recommend music and music videos. I actually have a playlist featuring dark-skinned songstresses if you'd like to check that out. But consuming movies and TV shows that give you a sense of feeling seen and a sense of representation of darker-skinned women. And so when you're looking for healthy content to consume outside of social media, I highly recommend looking for dark-skinned authors. And even if they're not talking about colorism, their books don't have to be about self-improvement or self-development. You could be reading romance novels where the main characters are dark-skinned, or you can be reading short stories by Octavia Butler, right? And so it's not just the personal self-help or personal development books. I highly recommend those as well. But there are other forms of fiction and entertaining and just escapist content that still is positive and reaffirming towards darker skinned people. And then my last recommendation when it comes to consuming healthy content is to do less gossip and less negativity. So I know negativity is pretty popular. Negativity tends to go viral. It's just very clickbaity. But when you're trying to improve your mental health and when you're looking for strategies and habits to improve your mental health, you do have to wean yourself off of the gossip columns and the negativity and the controversial hot button trending issues and really focus on things that are edifying and that uplift and empower you and affirm the best of who you are, the best of what you want for your life. The idea and practice of limiting the gossip and negativity goes to my third point, which is to audit your social circles in real life. So in real life, ask yourself, do you hang out with people who focus on negative things? Do you hang out with people who indulge in criticizing and being judgmental of other people, especially if they're judging and criticizing other dark-skinned women, right? In real life, do you hang out with colorist people? Do you hang out with people who have low self-esteem themselves and who are hypercritical of who they are in their own lives? Do you hang out with people who throw shade or have subtle passive-aggressive forms of negativity towards you? Do you hang out with people who have other colorist beliefs and just internalized anti-Blackness and these kinds of things? Don't underestimate the power of auditing your social circle and limiting, if not eliminating, relationships with people who reinforce the negative mentality that you're trying to free yourself from. And start to seek out and spend more time with people who are also caring for their own mental health. Seek out and look for people who are also considering therapy, who also read educational books or who are trying to improve and self-actualize in their life. Now, I know that this tip is not as easy as the social media and content consumption tips because it involves other people and they have free will, right? And it can take some time to find the right crowd that matches the vibe that you aspire to, but it is well worth the effort. And I know that ending relationships or having these tough conversations with friends is not easy. And so give yourself grace, give yourself patience. This is unlikely to be an area of your life that you can change overnight, but the return on your investment of that time, energy, and effort to really improve your real life relationships, your in-person relationships, and the people that you hang around with on a regular basis is really going to make a world of difference in terms of supporting your mental health in a society that is already so negative and so harshly critical of dark-skinned women. And this fourth strategy is to utilize therapy or counseling or life coaching. And there are so many forms of therapy, so many forms of life coaching and counseling. Yes, you can go the straight up traditional route where you're sitting on a couch and, talking about your dreams and your childhood memories and things like that. But also, if you can't afford traditional therapy or if you're kind of skeptical of traditional therapy, then you can start by buying books by therapists or subscribing to YouTube channels of therapists. And so a lot of people, because of the world we live in, a lot of people automatically think that to explore therapy, they have to book a session, a one-on-one session with a therapist. But you can start by exploring therapy concepts and counseling concepts, psychological concepts in 2023, simply by doing a Google search, looking for books, resources, and YouTube channels by licensed therapists, and get a taste of what forms of therapy are right for you. There are different forms like EMDR, complex trauma therapy, talk therapy, cognitive behavioral therapy, right? And so many forms. And of course, there's group therapy, group coaching. I highly recommend this because all of the things that I've listed so far are very individual, are things that you're sort of doing on your own. And so now we're getting into, again, building more of a support system to support you in your healing journey and your mental health. And again, in a world that is super hyper colorist. This work is really difficult and it can feel really lonely at times. And so this is one way to find that human support, that human connection. Now, I must warn you that there are a lot of therapists who lack the cultural competency to really understand colorism, which is why I think you should shop around, ask for recommendations, consider things like BetterHelp because you might have a wider range of therapists that you can choose from, but at least give it a shot, especially if you haven't before. And just know that not every therapist is perfect. Not every therapist is going to be the right one for you. But if you really are looking for more hands-on support as you go deeper into your healing journey, things like life coaching, therapy, group dynamics, support groups, for example. Okay, and so the fifth thing that we can do as dark-skinned women to support our mental health in a colorist society is to be active. Now, everyone is different. I've already done my astrology video where I talked about, not comparing my journey to someone else's. But being active was super, super helpful in my mental health journey. And so scientists, researchers, psychologists have shown that physical exercise, or just being physically active, whether it's walking or dancing or swimming or yoga or lifting weights or riding bikes or rock climbing. Rock climbing was super, super helpful for me during significant mental health struggles throughout my life. And so there is something about the dopamine hits, the dopamine rushes. There's the physiological things that happen in your body and in your brain that actually make you feel better. There's something called a runner's high for those of you who like to run. I myself have experienced runner's highs where I'm running, a few miles and I start smiling and I just start to feel really good. Also things like spinning classes where you really sweat out and purge any negative energy. And I also highly recommend being active for moments when you're feeling highly frustrated, or if you're feeling really upset or anxious about something. Getting active and being active in your body and really letting out that aggression, letting out that frustration through the physical activity of something like exercising or dancing. And in fact, knowing my mental health triggers, such as significant life changes. When I moved to Illinois to start my job, graduated from my doctoral program, I knew that would be a significant, huge life change for me. And so the first two things I did when I moved to town was I found a therapist and I joined a gym. So if you are already active, if you're someone who naturally likes to be active, then really lean into that and be intentional and purposeful about incorporating that into your healing and mental health support system. But if you are not really active, consider some fun ways that you can start to be more active. And again, joining a gym is an easy way to do that, but you don't have to pay for a gym membership. A walk around the block or just dancing in your bathroom every morning could really make a huge difference in terms of supporting your mental health. Okay, so my sixth recommendation is to be ambitious. Have really big goals for your life. For me, one of the things that has helped me bounce back, recover, and cope with experiencing colorism and with understanding the reality of colorism in the world is to have a mission, have something to look forward to, a vision for my life that was so compelling that it became the focus for me when someone would try to tear me down or when someone would throw shade on me. Having a really strong, compelling vision for your life gives you a strong why that helps you remain resilient despite the negativity. And the seventh strategy is to flood your life with affirmations. I love this strategy so much. When I was early in my mental health journey, I had a blue composition notebook. I have no idea what happened to it. It got lost in transition somewhere. But I would fill the pages with thousands of affirmations, handwritten affirmations. And what I would do is I would just Google affirmations for certain areas of my life, or Google affirmations pertaining to things that I particularly wanted to work on or that I had struggled with in the past. And I would just write them over and over again. So in that notebook, I collected new affirmations on an ongoing basis, but I would also just rewrite the affirmation that felt most helpful for me at that time. But you can also surround yourself with affirmations in other ways. So you can record affirmations, you can listen to video or audio or podcast affirmations. You can put affirmations on sticky notes around your desk or in your office. You can create art out of affirmations, hang them on your walls as paintings or interesting photographs. You can make affirmations the screensaver on your computer or the background on your phone. And really, I don't want to underestimate the need that if you're going to go the affirmation route, that you really have to sort of immerse yourself in affirmative language. And if you're like me, a lot of the mental health challenge around colorism does stem from thoughts and thinking negative thoughts or hearing in your head negative feedback or negative comments you've gotten from other people. And so flooding yourself, flooding your life with affirmations can help to drown out and eliminate that negative talk and replace it with the more affirming, positive, healthy, constructive self-talk. Just like you can place affirmations around your desk or around your office and in your home, You can also just upgrade your physical environment in general. So this is my 8th tip. And I love this one because I'm super into home decor and home design. And so there's something about, for example, just having a clean space, having a clean desk, having a clean bedroom, having a clean home. I don't know about you, but I'm the kind of person where my physical external environment is often a mirror of my internal environment. My mental health clutter will often manifest in physical clutter in the world around me. And so the process, the practice, the actual activity of tidying up, of cleaning up, is in and of itself meditative and healing and supportive of my mental health. But also you can upgrade your physical environment, again, in terms of the artwork that you put on the walls, the statues, the sculptures, the colors and the elements from your environment that remind you of positive memories, positive experiences. So whether it be souvenirs or items that remind you of the best of what you've experienced in your life, good relationships, good memories. And if you don't have many of those, then start to collect items that bring you joy now and in the present. Start to bring in items in your physical environment that remind you of things that you love, that bring you joy. This can go a long way. And when it comes to upgrading your physical environment, I must say, as a digital nomad, sometimes you have to actually move and leave and change physical environments, whether that be moving on a permanent basis or simply incorporating more travel into your lifestyle, whether it be just trying a different coffee shop or going to a different gym or going to a shopping mall on the other side of town or in a neighboring city, or foreign travel, traveling to other cities and other countries, and really just changing up your environment a little bit can definitely be, for some of you, very supportive for your mental health. So if you want to see more content like this, be sure to hit the like button so I know that this resonated with you. And I highly recommend watching this video next, which I posted at the beginning of the year, about unconventional choices that have made my life magical. I'll see you next time. Take care.